All right, everybody, welcome once again to the Super Magic Show. This is episode 8. Hope you're having a good day today. It's November 24th, 2024, and it is Thanksgiving week here in the United States. I hope that y'all have a safe Thanksgiving this week. Of course, content will continue here on the channel regardless of holidays. You know, Friday is Black Friday, and you might as well rename it Goku Black Friday because Daddy's going to be working. While you're off or you're at Walmart trying to get the latest laptop for $100, I'm going to be watching Daima, but that's not a complaint. That's actually I'm kind of happy about that because we're living in an era where even though it's short, we've got a new Dragon Ball anime right now airing that's been really well produced, but not perfect. And we're going to discuss some of that today on this episode of the Super Magic Show. We got two big topics. One, I do want to talk about Daima and the pacing and sort of what people's issues are with it and kind of get some clarity on it. And the other big topic, and I'm going to bring in my guest here in just a moment, we're going to be talking about classic Dragon Ball games that you've never played, or maybe you have played them. It depends. Some of you guys are very crafty. Some of you guys have probably all these games. Some of you guys have not. We're going back to the pre-Budokai era. The renaissance of Dragon Ball games really began with Dragon Ball Z / Budokai 1 in 2001 or whatever, 2002. And then Legacy of Goku dropped. But there was a whole bunch of Dragon Ball games that came out before, including shit that came out while the series was still ongoing. So I want to discuss those today, and I'm going to bring them in here in just a moment. And I want to welcome, my special guest this week. He's a game designer. This guy's done it all, bro, now that I think about it. Webmaster, game designer, author. I mean, he could retire right now and have a very impressive body of work already. From Battle Geek Plus, please welcome Ryan. Yo!
Hey, how's it going, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, well, this way.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, it's good to see you, man. Welcome to the Super Magic Show. I was just
absolutely.
telling them, I was telling them about your crazy life because going back, if we go back to the pre-social media days of Dragon Ball, there was a website called Ginga Gidi Gidi, right. And you were the creator. And this, we were all kids back then. And I obviously viewed the website, not knowing who you were. Right. That wouldn't come till later. And then, along comes we have the dub blowing up, and then we have a break for a while. Then we have the Battle of Gods era and all that. And since then, you've put out books. You've created games. I want to talk to you about your game. That's actually, It's available on Switch. And actually, you want to start with that? Do you want to start with? Oh, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, you have done what a lot of people have. Like, this is stuff you dream about when you're a kid.
Right,
I want to make my own video game.
Yeah.
Tell us about your game, bro.
All right, man. So I created a game called Popcorn Rocket. This is actually like the vinyl soundtrack. I don't have a physical copy of the game right now, but I am in talks with Sony to get a PS4 physical copy done. We are this close to getting it done. I hope to get the PS4 physical copy done by either next month or early next year. But right now you could buy the digital copy on the Nintendo Switch, the Sony PlayStation 4 or 5, and the Xbox Series for about $5, and also the PC and Steam.
Yeah, it's an independent. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen you when I first saw you talk about when I first started talking about Popcorn Rocket. I thought it was like, I didn't know it was your game. I thought it was just some local game that you found. Like, oh, okay. I'm scrolling down like Facebook or whatever. Didn't really pay much attention to it. And then I started paying more attention. I was like, wait, so this dude made his own game. And you're not the first one to do it, but it's still a grand achievement because
it's difficult to make any type of game, man. So
dude, I can imagine when I was a kid, and I still have them. I found them recently. I had binders and binders of spiral notebooks with game ideas that I had. Of course, they all happen to be ripoffs of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter because that's what was hot back. That's what was hot back then.
Yeah, actually, when I was a kid, I wanted to make my own version of like Super Dragon Warrior before we knew it was Dragon Quest, and I actually had Barney the dinosaur as a boss in one of the games.
That's pretty. That's the type of shit that Toriyama or like Yuji Horii would do.
Right.
You know, something like that. Maybe not Barney because they would have to pay less.
Exactly. Yeah, like
a secret boss. You know?
Yeah, like I remember, on my spiral notebooks and also like Brent. Yeah, like also blank printer paper back in the day. Like I drew like maps of the castles. I drew maps of the caves. I kind of drew like my own monsters. And like I don't have those anymore, but I wish I did though. But yeah, like I was kind of designing games, all the way back in the day. But I had to give it up. But when I was in college, I kind of had to give it up since I failed in my programming classes and I had to get a job.
Did you program the game on your own?
Oh yeah, yeah. Popcorn Rocket. I programmed it on my own. I actually learned how to program on my own about 2021. So so I got back into it.
They're saying about your audio. There's a little bit of popping. Maybe the thing is too
really?
close. I'm not a little bit like it's not the worst thing ever, but just they're letting me know in the chat about that. I hear it too, but I didn't think that they could hear it. So
okay,
but
how's it sound?
No, it's better now. Whatever you
awesome.
did now is better. So
right, great.
So okay. I think I put it in the description. I actually can't check the description of my own fucking stream now because I'm live, but I think I'm pretty sure I put it. So check the link in the description to play Popcorn Rocket. Also, what I want to get to today, because you're OG Dragon Ball fan, going back years. Sounds like wind. Yeah, it's probably just the popping. Going back decades, actually, not even years, decades. I want to talk to you about Daima and I want to talk to you about the main event topic today, which is classic Dragon Ball Z games you never played. First, though, I have to get this promo out because I was supposed to get this promo out last week for my friend Artworks, and she's been very patient with me about this. I thank her for that. I was talking to Vanner from Seed of Might last week, and I got caught up in the conversation.
Okay, cool.
It was just, dude. It was, yeah. So I'm gonna play this little video. They're not gonna be able to hear us. I did the promo. It was from last week's thumbnail, and it's basically if you are in the chat and you want to sharpen your skills as an artist, if you want to learn how to draw Dragon Ball characters in both Super and Daima style, various different Toriyama styles. She's good at doing Shintani, all the different styles. Check this out. We'll be back in 42 seconds. This thumbnail art was done by the incredibly talented Artworks. Check out Artworks' new Dragon Ball Daima pens pack for Clip Studio Paint, Procreate, and Ibis Paint if you want to start the journey to becoming a great artist. Use the code DAIMA for a 10% discount on all Ko-fi Shop products. Code expires December 1st. She also has created her Dragon Ball Super Procreate course and her Dragon Ball Super Clip Studio Paint course, so you can learn to draw Ultra Instinct Goku and Super characters as well. Please support this artist and purchase her anime products because they will make you a better artist too. I was supposed to play that last week.
Right.
The link is in the description. It's obviously for people who want to take their art seriously. It's not a free course, but it is definitely worth it. So,
it's a very good art.
Yeah, she's good. She's
absolutely
good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Let's get to these quick super chats here. Xavier says, I never played DB Evolution game and never will. He's talking about the fighting game was on PSP, I think.
I heard it's not that bad.
I heard it's not that bad.
It's like basically like the Budokai series just reskinned with the Dragon Ball Evolution characters.
Feels like something that fans would do, like modding it just fuck around. Yeah. What's funny is another game that reminds me of is Street Fighter, the movie, the game. That movie is not the best film, but when I played the game, I'm like, this is not that bad.
Yeah,
I don't think the game is that bad. Like, I think the combos are actually not that hard to pull off in that game. I don't hate that game. And people like will sometimes tell me shit like, "Oh yeah, that game is horrible," and I'm like, "Have you actually played it?" And usually they haven't.
It's a pretty decent game. I agree.
It's not as good as like an Alpha 2 or some
Oh
shit, but
yeah,
yeah,
obviously.
right. But it wasn't bad. So let's talk about Daima.
Yeah.
Daima episode 7 just aired, and you know, it wasn't just in my review. I've seen this in both the Japanese and English speaking audience. I've seen it, this complaint from both of them, and that is with the pacing. Now here's
Right.
sort of here's my issue. I think they could have taken episodes 5, 6, and 7 and consolidated those stories into one, maybe 1.5 episodes,
Right.
and it still would have been the same thing. My other issue that I try to explain to people is when it comes to Dragon Ball Daima, I am cursed to know too much, and I have revealed things in leak videos. About 2 months ago, and
Right.
I revealed characters that still have not made their way into Daima, and there's other things that I still have not revealed. So the way I'm looking at this is Dragon Ball Daima's 20 episodes. It was originally called Dragon Ball Magic and was supposed to be a streaming only series before Fuji stepped in after Toriyama passed away and
Right.
asked to air the series. That wasn't the original plan. And that happened. But this is not one of those, oh, Danny, you know stuff. No, that's not what this is. It's concern because there's a lot more stuff to come. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, well, are they going to get to it? And if they do, what I don't want them to do is I don't want them to rush through it
Yeah.
to where the big fights coming up are going to be cut off. I was told a long time ago that Daima is going to borrow things from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and GT, and you can see it every week. They borrow things from all sorts of different places in Dragon Ball. So I'm waiting with like bated breath. Like I'm waiting, like, okay, are these fights? Because I think the way I see it, Ryan, and we know this fandom somewhat well.
Exactly. Yeah.
The fights have to deliver. The story is fun. It's Dragon Quest mixed with Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
It's JRPGs and Star Wars and all this shit that I like. But the fights have got to deliver, especially with this animation crew, because they can do the good shit. I was told that the end of next week's episode, this is an exclusive, was done. I think it either the end of next week's episode, or the beginning of the week after, is Naoto Shishida is coming back to do a cut.
Nice.
So if that's true, we need some good shit. So I want to ask you, first of all, as a longtime Dragon Ball fan, what are your impressions of Daima so far from the beginning to now? And what do you think about this pacing discussion? I got a thing in the chat now. I asked, does the pacing of Dragon Ball Daima need work? And 70% said yes, 29% said no. So what do you think?
All right. So first of all, so going into Daima this year, like we all know Akira Toriyama. So we all know Akira Toriyama passed away, and I took that pretty hard. But we know this is his last work. So, and also,
well,
earlier,
maybe not.
Or maybe not. Okay.
There's rumors, but yeah, right.
So earlier this year, I actually watched all of Dragon Ball GT for the very first time. So all 64 episodes. So yeah, so once you get past the first 16 to 20 episodes, GT really picks up. So I'm in a very, very big Kid Goku mood, and I enjoy GT a lot. So going into Daima, like a lot of our friends were saying, yeah, it's like Toriyama's version of Dragon Ball GT. And what I do like about Daima right now is I think the demon world is a very, very interesting place. We have a lot more insight to like Dabura. Like we thought in Dragon Ball Z, he's this big evil guy, but then he actually might have been a benevolent ruler in the demon world. And if you remember, like in Dragon Ball Z, like all of the filler scenes with like Dabura in hell when he's all nice to Chi-Chi and stuff.
Yeah, well, he gets sent to heaven because King Yemma was like he'll like it in hell too much or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's what his personality might have been like before he got turned into a Majin. Like he might have had some. Yeah, he might have had some evil in his heart, but maybe he probably was a benevolent ruler. So for the pacing of Daima, I mean, I'm enjoying the series, but I do have to agree it's it's a lot like GT in a way where it's kind of taking a bit too long to get to the good stuff. Like I remember probably the first 7 episodes of GT, like Goku is already fighting Legic and stuff like that, right? And one problem I actually had a lot with GT is like I think the writers were like, all right, we're gonna delay Goku turning into a Super Saiyan because it's gonna make the fight go too fast, and they're kind of doing that a bit with Daima, but he has gone Super Saiyan in Daima, and the fight with Glorio that he had, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it looks like Goku was able to handle that pretty easily, and I think you probably know this, and I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some crazy forms to be revealed, and probably Goku is going to have to probably go all out in probably some of the future fights. But right now, the fights don't seem super challenging for Goku, even in his base form. And I do like he is fighting at bars and stuff like it's like Dragon Quest and also Star Wars. So yeah,
Yeah.
So I think the pacing could use a bit of work, and I do agree with you. Like the previous 3 episodes, 5, 6, and 7, can be condensed into one, where you have more fights. And I'm glad now, like Bulma, Vegeta, and Piccolo are going to be joining the story. So hopefully, we'll start seeing a lot more action pretty soon.
And the thing is, GT in and of itself was 64 episodes.
Yeah.
But they were kind of with GT, they were kind of going. They were writing it as they went along. And then when the baby arc ended, they had started the next arc. Daima is 20 episodes, one big arc, which there's good and bad to this. The good is that all the foreshadowing is going to pay off. Right. Dr. Arinsu's experiments, the fact that Glorio is secretly talking to her. These are things that were established and teased in the very first episode that get payoffs later on. And that's good. That's the good thing about having a pre-written story instead of making it up as you go along. But I'm over here thinking we're about 3 weeks away from being halfway done with the show.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got 2 more Tamagamis, 2 of Arinsu's experiments. We've got the whole thing with Goma and the third eye that's probably going to lead to a fight.
Yeah.
And they've all teased the new fusion with those little bugs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And yeah, with the bugs. And then, with Vegeta coming in, as you said, he's got some new stuff to show off. I'm not going to go into any leaks in this stream, but the point is, it's a lot to cram in. And like what I worry about is like we get this fight and people get excited for it and it ends in like 3 minutes.
Right.
And I'm not saying it has to be like Dragon Ball Z where it's like 6 episodes for a fight. But if it's an important fight, it's got to at least last the majority of 1 episode.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, they got to, and we still have to go to Demon World 2, learn more about the Namekians and the Glins, more lore drops. How do you feel about the lore shit?
Oh, man. So the lore shit I'm actually really excited about because.
Same.
Yeah, because prior to Daima, like, we knew nothing about the Supreme Kai's race, but now we know they're Glins, and like they weren't these godlike beings at first. They originated from the demon world. I'm like, okay, that is pretty cool actually. And I really love the designs of all the demons and stuff. I think that one character who appeared in episode 7 who escorted Bulma, Vegeta, and like Piccolo, that was
he looks like a yard rat. Not the Z yard rat, the Toriyama one he drew for the games.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like very Dragon Quest too.
Right. Yeah, like a tackle almost, like the tackles from 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I definitely want to know a lot more about the demon world, I mean, I'm mostly interested in like knowing, okay, so how is the demon world ruled under Dabura? Yeah.
Me too. And I know for a fact that there is going to be a flashback to Dabura when he was younger. Nice. That I know that's not, I mean, I don't know if that counts as a leak or not. I don't know the details of what is done, but we are going to see something with Dabura. He will have a cameo in the show. I don't know what he's going to say or do, but obviously we know about his father.
Yes, father.
Abra. Yeah, and that is, again, new stuff. All the lore shit has been my favorite thing about Daima. That has been my favorite thing. It's no different than Dragon Quest, like the lore. Speaking of which, I've been playing HD 2D3 on Twitch.
Nice.
How have you been making your way through that one, or are you waiting because that's a game that you probably like? I beat that game like 9-10 times in my life, but this is the new one.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, so right now, I've only played about an hour into it since I'm like kind of balancing some other games right now. I just beat Call of Duty. Yeah, I just beat Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I'm also playing World of Warcraft. I just beat Black Myth Wukong, and
I heard
also
that was hard.
yeah, it's very hard, but it's very very fun. And I also got. Let me bring it out. I also got Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which I surprisingly haven't played a ton of since all these games are coming out. So I'm trying to balance, like my gaming time, my game dev time, and also with my day job and stuff like that. Yeah.
And
But
the Zelda game that came out on Switch.
yeah,
I put like 5 hours into it. Now I haven't touched it in like a month, and I'm feeling bad about that.
yeah, I own that too. I only put like 10 minutes into it, but then I went back to playing Black Myth Wukong because I wanted to finish that first before like beginning any other game.
Yeah, it's hard because
Yeah.
when you're a kid, you can spend days
Yeah.
on one game
God, I
and
missed
master it.
that.
Me too. But you got work, you got responsibilities. I mean, dude, last 2 Fridays ago, there was within a 5-day span for me being a fan of a lot of different things that I'm a fan of. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D came out. Cobra Kai season 6
Cobra
part
Kai
2 came out.
Yeah.
Bro, and then
I binged that.
SmackDown.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. I did. SmackDown came out, or SmackDown was live. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
There was a
I
UFC the
saw
next
that.
day, and I had a friend come over, and on top of that, I had to cover Daima, and I had to do like reviews and videos on Cobra Kai, and squeeze in Dragon Quest, and it just became too much for me. I was actually going to interview Nadoli that weekend, and she couldn't make it, and I'm kind of glad she couldn't because I would have been a complete mess trying to get all that off the ground. But it was a lot, man, and I'm not saying that I'm not complaining. I'm actually very grateful.
Yeah,
but
sure.
One of the things I did was Friday morning when Cobra Kai ended, it was only about 2 or 3 hours away from Daima. So I just said, fuck it. And I started playing Dragon Quest, drank a bunch of coffee, just drank coffee and stayed up all the way through. But then around 2 o'clock, my body couldn't take anymore because I'm not 20 anymore.
Right.
And I just crashed for like 4 hours. And then I woke up before SmackDown. Oh, man. But it's like they throw so much at us, and there's probably other shit that I missed. Let me get to this quick super chat here from Xavier. He says, Danny, have you played Street Fighter X Tekken? I actually have not. I have not played that game.
Yeah, I actually bought that on the Xbox 360 right before they shut down the store. So it's actually pretty decent.
There's X-Men, there's Tekken X Street Fighter and Street Fighter X Tekken, right? And one of them is like the Tekken style, one of the Street Fighter style.
Yeah.
Which one's better?
I'm gonna say Street Fighter X Tekken because I'm an okay Tekken player, but I actually play like the other one better.
Yeah, I probably played it more because it came out first. A lot of the kids nowadays don't understand how big Street Fighter was in the early 90s.
Oh,
I mean, that.
Yeah, if I was there.
Dude, I know you were. It dominated the arcades for a while. Shamar Henderson, I'm sure Daima's going to have more episodes than just 20. Doubting me again. That's fine, bro. That's fine. Yeah, you can doubt me all you want to, bro. And in March, you're going to be like, damn, he was right. It was 20 episodes. All right. Dragon Slayer says the pacing fits an anime based on a light novel. Talking about Daima, I'm guessing.
Right.
That is a bit different pacing from anime based on manga. Absolutely right. He's 100% right about that. Also, do you think that after Toriyama passed away, they respected his last work and did not change Daima's pacing? I don't know. I know that it was implied by the producer that Toriyama was able to see like everything before it got made. So he was able to see all the scripts before they got made. I think the producer implied that. I forgot where, but it wasn't that long ago. So he may not have seen the finished product, like the actual finished animation, which sucks. But I mean, he did see the scripts all the way through. So I said that in my review this week, like he's okay with it. And I'm not saying that automatically means that like it's going to be good, because not everything Toriyama's ever done has been pristine, and that's not disrespectful. It's just he's a human being. Nobody's perfect. But it's the most Toriyama anime we've gotten. And this is what I said about Daima. Daima is a lot like Broly and Superhero.
Yeah.
You can tell the kind of the way modern Toriyama writes his stories. You can just tell, but it's not the same as he used to write the old shit. And I feel like also, and I've said this for a few weeks, I don't know if they've called on or not, but I've said that Daima is too short to be a movie, too long to be a movie, too short to be like Super. It's a story. Yeah. And it's one of those things where, like, to be honest with you, if I could have 20 Dragon Ball episodes per year instead of like one every week for 7 years, then we have like a 5-10 year break, I would rather do the 20 episodes a year and make Dragon Ball seasonal, because then as a fan, we get new stuff. It also gives the animators and writers a break. I mean, they're not really taking a break because they got to go do One Piece, and it's a 2-week a year job. Yeah, because I know for a fact that the Daima guys are going to go do One Piece next, and the Precure movie coming out. So, in fact, the guy who I talked to is on One Piece now. Someone's going to go through the credits of Daima and One Piece, try to figure out who it is. Well, I got news for you. It's a lot of people, but it's a lot of people because they're all moving the team. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is, I would be perfectly fine with these 20 episode chunks of Dragon Ball. Yeah, I would be. The content creator, it's actually better too, because it gives us a little set time to do reviews and breakdowns, and then a little bit of time to speculate on what's next and have collaborations and have discussions. It's just better that way. But Dragon Ball and the way Toei and Shueisha treat the series has been very, very strange.
Yeah. Well, I'll also say this too. In respect to Toriyama's work, I'm surprised there's a lot more poop jokes in Daima.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, with Toriyama, yeah, but that's no. Every episode he has to use the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm for it. I'm for it. So.
Yeah, like we didn't actually get like a lot of poop jokes in the original series. We got a lot of them in Dr. Slump, and we got some in Super. So yeah.
Yeah, right. No, Slump had a lot. Yeah. George ZPS, he says, fingers crossed for 2025 movie, 2026 moral arc. You're not getting the movie in 2025, bro. I'm telling you that right now. You might get it in 2026. If we were getting a Dragon Ball movie in 2025, it would have already been announced by now.
Yeah.
The only thing that's a possibility is that they announce it at Jump Festa, and I have very, very big doubts about that. Yeah. Mostly because there's a One Piece movie that's going to come out first, I believe. And I believe they're doing that first. And I think the Dragon Ball, to me, it would actually make more sense to do the Dragon Ball movie in 2026, because that's the 40-year anniversary of the anime.
Yeah, exactly.
It's another anniversary. So, as a fan of JRPGs, you're on board with Dragon Ball Daima.
Yeah, absolutely.
I even made a thread today on X about how Zoma was basically Goma before Goma, except that Zoma is much, much, much stronger.
Exactly.
And scarier. Zoma is way scarier.
Scary.
But dude, he's got the third eye in his fucking forehead. And I didn't even pick it up till recently. I'm like, this guy Toriyama is taking shit that he did decades ago with Yuji Horii, and
exactly,
like redoing it. Yeah. And so when it comes to Dragon Quest 3 HD2D, it's just the thing about that game, and I respect you for not having time for it, but with that game, I have so much love for it that the minute I start playing it, it's like, oh, I'll only play it for 2 hours, and it's like already been like 8 hours go by, and it's like, well, and right now I just got done with the Tower of Rubus.
Nice.
And so I'm at the end of the game. I'm literally at the end.
Wow, you're already at the end.
At Zoma, not the post game, just the Zoma.
Okay,
But
gotcha.
yeah, but they did add a lot of. They added like 5 new boss fights.
Oh, nice.
And some really cool lore stuff. There's a side quest where you get Ortega's helmet and you rebuild it into the Aurora helmet. That's new.
Oh god,
that type of shit. Yeah, I want more shit like that. What I'm curious about is what they're gonna do with 1 and 2, because Dragon Quest 1, even though I love it, it really is a primitive RPG compared to what we've gotten.
Oh yeah.
So they're gonna have to do something to change that up. I think.
I think they're gonna add a lot more to it, and also with 2.
With 2, I agree. That one's a little bit more like less primitive, but Dragon Quest 1 is 1 character against 1 monster.
Yeah.
And that, to me, even though I can play it because it's just a very easy game to play as far as like it's not super complicated, the mechanics, I just find it hard to believe they're just going to have that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there has to be something. I don't know if they're going to make it so you can catch monsters, or if they're going to make it to where the princess can join you and she has like magic. Like this new Dragon Quest game has abilities now. Are they going to add that?
Yeah.
Like I'm actually really curious about that more than 3.
Oh yeah, like I would think they would definitely add like regular abilities aside from the spells too.
Yeah, I mean they did it for 3, so you might as well.
Yeah,
but I know they're gonna have them all be one, like in 1 pack. I am very curious about what they're gonna add.
Yeah, me too.
Now the rumor is that it's not really a rumor, actually. It's the producer of Dragon Quest HD2D came out recently and said the next game he wants to do is Final Fantasy VI.
Oh god, yes.
I'm on board for that.
I am on board with that. That's my final. That is my favorite Final Fantasy. Yeah.
My favorite is 4. However, I can say that 6 is probably objectively the best one. And I'm excited.
Yeah, like I would say 4 is my second favorite. Yeah.
Well, 4, I just love the characters. I love that game. But 6 is like I love those characters too.
Yeah, me too.
And Kefka with voice acting is going to be phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But I was thinking about this, and I'm like, the game that I think would probably benefit the most from getting an HD 2D as well as getting a new release that is guaranteed to make you some money is if they did Chrono Trigger.
Oh god, Chrono Trigger, yes.
They've been dying. People have been dying for that game again.
People want that. Yeah, like because like they did like a newer version on the DS, which was also pretty good. And
I liked it.
Yeah, they also ported that to the PC, but I don't know why. That's actually not. Things. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, but I don't know why that's not on the consoles yet.
I don't know either, but I was having a conversation the other night. You would have liked this conversation.
Okay.
And I was saying, like, you could make the argument that the best Super Nintendo video games of all time, you could literally say it's Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, and it's kind of hard for somebody to argue that. I'm not saying that there isn't an argument to be made, but if somebody says my favorite Super Nintendo game is Chrono Trigger, or my favorite RPG is Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI for either one of those categories, I'm like, it's a 10 out of 10 game, both of them. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, but if they do Earthbound, because you know what? Mother 1, that needs an HD 2D overhaul because that game is super. Dude, have you ever played Mother 1?
No, not yet, actually. I played Mother 3, but not 1.
Okay. Fuck Mother 1. I'll tell you why. Okay. Mother 1 does that fucking thing that Final Fantasy 3 did, where when you get to the final, 2 dungeons, the difficulty goes, and it's like, and you're dying every other battle, and it's like, it's not fun. This is not like fun difficulty. This is like, I have to grind. And even though I can fast forward the fucking ROM, it's still extremely that needs to be tweaked and fixed. And then I wish they would do the Mother trilogy, the whole thing,
Right.
HD2D. Because if somebody said Earthbound is their favorite game, I'm like, yeah, that's another one. Super Nintendo's library is insane. And there's a lot of RPGs I've never even played on there that I've wanted to. Like the Hercules ones.
Yeah, so I heard this about Chrono Trigger, like the whole Chrono series in general, that as much as people love the Chrono series, according to Square Enix, they said it didn't actually it didn't exactly sell that well. I mean, it sold well, but not Final Fantasy well. So they,
of course not.
Yeah. So for the Chrono series, like,
but it's so even people who have never played the game know about it. You know what I mean? Like there's people who have even played the game that know about it.
Yeah, but it's so beloved now. I think Square Enix. Yeah, I'm thinking Square Enix probably should take a chance on reviving it at some point because, well, they're not exactly in the best financial position right now because because I heard Final Fantasy 16 didn't sell that well, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth actually also didn't sell that well either.
See,
so
that surprised me because I thought that game was going to be their biggest seller for a long time.
Yeah, the problem is those were
the price.
No, not the price, but they were like PS5 exclusive. So yeah, so like, and a lot
of people
didn't
they say that they were going to eventually put it on Steam after like a year or two?
Yeah, right? yeah, they're going to put them on Steam and Xbox now because they were not making a lot of money just putting them on the PS5, and a lot of people don't exactly have a PS5 right now. So yeah.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat said that Daima has the makings for a mini RPG.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I would love to explore the Demon Realm in like a Legacy of Goku style, or but here's the thing about these AC2D remakes. I thought Live Alive was a huge risk because I played the Super Nintendo Live Alive with the ROM translation.
Right.
That game's fucking hard. Not hard like Mother 1, but it's not a pussy ass little kid RPG. It's you got to do some work in that game. So the fact that they did that and put the work into doing Live Alive, Chrono Trigger, you've got Toriyama, you've got characters, everybody, you've got a game that's hyped up. I think it would do much better.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you what, you surprised the shit out of me when you told me Final Fantasy didn't sell well. But I guess it makes sense because I'll be honest, bro, I don't have a PS5. And it's not because I can't afford one. It's
exactly.
I've got so many games backlogged on PS4 and Steam has a lot. Dude, I got Sparking Zero on Steam because it's easier to stream on a computer than on it with a capture card. I gotta go plug shit over here. And, you know what I mean? Like
for sure.
And it's funny because in 2020, when all my friends were buying PS5s, that's back when they were like hard to find.
Yeah,
I was buying Sony stock. And then I would show them like, hey, and I'm like, hey, look, I made $2,000 on Sony. I could buy fucking 3 PS5s if I wanted to. Like, thanks, sucker. Like, not really. I was fucking with them. I trolled them, but so it does surprise me. All right, let me get to the super chat here from Teddy Hart. I wonder if it's the Teddy Hart that I know. As a kid, I spent all my allowance money on DBZ Taiketsu for the GBA. I'm now 31, and it's still the worst money I've ever spent.
All right, about Dragon Ball Z Taiketsu. That game is so bad that most emulators won't even play it.
I didn't even know that. I never tried. I've never tried.
Yeah, I did try it on one emulator, and it's really bad.
Like the emulator crashes or the game itself has problems?
No, it just doesn't load. And actually, this
is like a curse from the Almighty, bro.
Yeah, like I think when I was trying to test the game, like maybe 5 to 6 years ago on emulators, it just wouldn't load on any of them, except for one of them. I forgot which one, and when it did load, the game was really bad.
Yeah, I never got to play it. I just heard.
Yeah, you're not missing out on anything.
Well, there's a lot of Dragon Ball games, and we're gonna get to our main event topic now, which is Dragon Ball games that people have never played. So this book right here, I'm very blessed to own a physical copy of it. It's not available anymore. Nope. Ryan wrote this book. This book is called Play the Dragon, and it's basically you have yours.
Yeah, I got mine too.
Yeah. So this book, because of Shueisha being dickheads, he's not allowed to sell it as a physical copy anymore. And I love this because you got tons of pictures.
Oh yeah, for
It's
sure.
a very colorful book. You've got the Mega Man book. I got it back there.
Yeah.
But so I think I put a link. I think I put the link in the description. They can still get the PN or the PDF version.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they can get the PDF version. Yeah, they can get the PDF version for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
This book covers the pre-Budokai era of Dragon Ball games going back to the 80s to 1997. And the big secret when it comes to Dragon Ball games, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, both in North America and other parts of the world, their first Dragon Ball game was like Budokai or Tenkaichi or Legacy of Goku, something from the 2000s. And that's because that's when we started getting them in America. But in Japan, there were dozens upon dozens of Dragon Ball video games that came out only for that market while the series was running.
Yeah.
And it's wild because, and this makes me laugh because looking at hindsight and how the fandom views things, it puts a smile on my face. I love how if you play Dragon Ball 3 on the Famicom, the final boss is Piccolo.
Yeah.
And then the two secret bosses are Raditz and Arale. And the reason why it puts a smile on my face is because that came out right when Z started. Right, and the strongest, there it is. Oh, see, I have mine in the other room. I have, yeah. Can you put it a little closer to the, yeah, that's Dragon Ball 3. Yep, I've got it in the other. No, that's Dragon Ball Z1. I'm talking about Dragon. That's the one.
Yeah, there we go.
That's Dragon Ball 3.
Dragon Ball 3.
Yeah, Dragon Ball 3.
Yeah. Actually, like this is technically Dragon Ball 4.
yeah. And then Dragon Ball Z2 is Dragon Ball 5, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Which I think Dragon Ball. I think it's Dragon Ball Z. Like it's called like Arrival of the Saiyans, and then like 2 is called Gekishin Frieza, and then 3 is like there's like 4 DBZ games and 3 DB games. So I actually want to talk to you about these old games.
Yeah. Okay.
So these games are very hard to find.
Yeah.
What I want to do, actually, wait, I have a new super chat. Let me get to that first, and then we'll get into this topic. Deadpool's cousin. SSJ Goku, SSJ4 Fusion for Daima, please tell us. No leaks. I'm not giving away any leaks, bro. I'm sorry. Like, here's what we have to understand. I appreciate the super chat. It's not like I don't appreciate it. Thank you for the donation. I've already said on this stream, I am not going to leak anything else. I've got dedicated videos on it. There's other people here now who might not want to hear it. And if I say something just because you want to hear it and the other 200 people don't want to hear it, they're going to be pissed off. And I'm just trying to be fair. Every time I do a leak or a spoiler video on any of my channels, I always say, click off the video now. I'm going to go into real shit. So I just can't just give away a leak. I already said earlier I already said one thing earlier in the chat, like, you know, that isn't really a big leak, but it's like a little one. But I'm not going to give away anything like that in here. So, okay. What was your first Dragon Ball game that you ever played? Because I think you and I might have a similar story. Similar.
Okay, so the very first Dragon Ball game I ever played, and actually this one was actually released in the US, but in very, very limited quantities at first, was
I knew it.
Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. This is the Japanese version, which is only called Dragon Ball Final Bout. Now, like we all know, this game has a kick-ass intro. Like it's like, oh my god, like that pumps you up to actually play the game.
I think Nakatsuru did the animation.
Yeah, Nakatsuru did the animation.
Yeah.
But when you actually play the game,
bro, it's so choppy. Like
I tried to convince myself it was a good game, but it is not a good game.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
My friend Tex did the same thing you did. He would come over to the house and play Final Bout and be really into it because it's a Dragon Ball game. Like, all right, like, and then I played it too, but my, I guess, drunk goggles wore off faster than his, and I was like, you know, this game kind of sucks, right?
Yeah.
And I showed him. I'm like, look, I push this button and it takes like 2 seconds before Goku does anything. The controls are all fucked up. Like, this game sucks. And we were trying to like find all the secrets, how to
Right.
fight Baby Vegeta, like, but it's like, it's just not good. And then I remember we had a fan sub, and the fan sub had a commercial for Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22. And when you look at that game's graphics, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to be good. And you
Well,
play it, and it's like Butoden, except not good, not great.
it's Butoden with the speed cut down, and like
All the key blasts look the same.
Yeah, all the key blasts look the same. It's like Butoden without the split screen, and the speed has been cut down probably by half.
And that is not a good thing when the speed gets cut down. No, dude. It's bad. It's like Dragon Quest 3 HD2 you have to play it on ultra fast or else you're there forever.
Exactly. Like, and also so what was kind of cool about actually playing this game back in 1998 when Dragon Ball Z was on Cartoon Network, and we only had the dub at the time. Like, we only had the first 53 episodes, which were the first 67 episodes. And like, I remember watching the intro for this. I barely knew who any of the characters were. Like, yeah, obviously, like, you can recognize Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo, but then when you see fourth form Frieza, you're kind of like, is that really Frieza? He doesn't have the horns on his head. And at first, I thought Gohan was Yamcha because at that time
the hair.
I have not seen most dub fans back in '98 like had no idea what Gohan looked like grown up. So I thought that was Yamcha without the scars at first. I was like, oh, he's beating that pink dude who I think is Majin Buu. And then after that, you see Pan and Trunks. I mean, yeah, I think back in the day, I did some research. I knew who Trunks was. I didn't know he was actually Vegeta's son at the time. But I was like, oh yeah, there's that Trunks guy, but I don't know who that little girl is. And then after that, you see Goku turned into a kid. I'm like, I think that's the plot of Dragon Ball GT, which I haven't seen back in the day. But yeah, but playing that back in the day when all you knew was basically the English dub, it was kind of a cool feeling because like, well, who are all these crazy characters who are coming later in the series?
That's the beautiful thing about that era. It was like an era of discovery, because like the big thing back then is fucking like Gogeta and like Vegito and all these, like, you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, when are we gonna get this shit?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, when are we gonna get this shit? You know, and then as you start collecting the fan subs, and of course we've talked about this, you and I, in the past. You never got the fan subs in order. Nobody could watch Dragon Ball Z start to finish.
Tough. Yeah, like we had missing episodes. Like, we were missing a lot of the Cell game for a long time. We were missing episode 268, which is a very important episode.
We talked about that, bro. Every fan sub went to 269. What happened?
Yeah, I know, right? And I think we also were missing a little of Gohan's training with the Kais. I remember not being able to find those episodes for a long time.
The middle part of like post Perfect Cell, but before the Cell game, like Gohan's birthday party and Goku with the puzzles. I couldn't find that anywhere.
Yeah, dude. Actually, those subs, I think I got them off a guy from an AOL website, but he had the NGN recordings, the Nippon Golden Network.
Nippon Golden Network, yes. Yeah, I talked about that last week.
Yeah, like not fan subbed, but those were, well, I would say like the Nippon Golden Network was officially subbed.
It was, but it was, and it had those nasty like piss yellow subtitles, you know.
Exactly.
But that's how I was able to watch original Dragon Ball all the way through, was NGN.
And it also had the Chinese subtitles too at the top, above the English ones.
Yes, yeah, dude. It's funny because we have it easy now.
Oh wait, we have it easier.
You have it, and that era, like, I have a lot of nostalgia for that era, but like you said, we're missing a lot back then. But it was cool to like. There was a few websites. You had one during the late '90s, early 2000s. When did you start getting a Giddy Giddy? I don't remember. Was it '99?
let's see. I started Vegeta Insane in '99. Then a year later, I did Ginga Giri Giri.
Okay, it's 2000. The
Yeah.
the boom, the early boom for Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And there were websites back then. This is pre-social media, pre you know, like Discord and all that shit.
Yeah, and also pre-torrent too.
Pre-torrent, yeah. And people would sometimes have like full episodes. That was like a big thing back
Oh
then, the
yeah,
full episodes.
I remember
But
that.
they were 10 megabyte real media files that were barely watchable. But
Yeah.
when you got them, it was like, okay, I can kind of see something.
Yeah, I remember watching. I think episode 124. I think 124. I downloaded an RM file. Do you remember the real media? Yeah,
They
like
were 10 megabyte real media files that I was talking about. They were horrible.
Yeah, I watched.
I saw the entire Kid Buu fight like that.
Oh, really?
Which means I didn't see it. I saw frames skipping.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, man.
I downloaded. I downloaded the Imperfect Cell versus Piccolo fight, and I think it was like 13 megs, but it was unwatchable because it was like, yeah, like that. Where
you could kind of make out some shit.
Yeah, where episode 124, which was like Vegeta's training, was actually kind of watchable on my Pentium 1 back in the day.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
And actually, I want to talk about that. But first, let me get this super. I want to talk about the Pentium and the ROMs and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so Xavier to God, my first Dragon Ball games were Legendary Super Warriors on Game Boy, then Budokai Tenkaichi 2 on PS2, then Budokai 3 on PSP, and Raging Blast 2 on Xbox 360. That's very recent, bro. We're going way before that. Yeah. Right. Yeah, nothing wrong with those games. We're going to like the pre we had so to get the games that we're talking about, the only choice was to either import them or get ROMs. And if you import them, you better make sure that your console can play Japanese games. Exactly. You mod chip it, or you break the tabs on the Super Nintendo, or the ROMs. But here's the thing about that era: there were some English hacked ROMs that were English in English, but very few where the entire game was translated in English. I think the first, I'll tell you this, Ryan, the first game I played that was a fully translated in English ROM was Final Fantasy V.
Oh, yeah, I played that too. Yeah, I also played that in the summer of '98. Yeah,
we didn't get that fucking game, bro.
Yeah,
and that's the one I wanted to play.
I know, right?
I played the other two,
and also we also had the fan translation of, well, it's called Trials of Mana now, but back then we knew
Seiken Densetsu 3.
Seiken Densetsu 3, or Secret of Mana 2. And actually, these games now actually have like full English translations.
Yes, and I was going to actually ask you about that. Let me get to the super chat here from Teddy Hart. I still remember being so pissed off. The PS2 version of Budokai had yellow Kamehamehas, while the GameCube version, which I didn't have, was blue. I actually don't remember the GameCube versions being blue. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't remember.
I
never knew that.
Yeah, I never played the GameCube version. I do have the first Budokai here. This is the Japanese version, which is only called Dragon Ball Z. But I don't remember the Kamehamehas being yellow. I mean, I'll probably have to play it again, though.
Well, it was kind of like Ultimate Battle 22, where everything was yellow.
Oh yeah, that game that everything's yellow.
But Ultimate Battle 22 had Gogeta, and it was like Ultimate Battle 27, and I can play as Gogeta. And, but then when the fresh coat of paint, when the new car smell wore off, you're like, this game ain't that good.
Yeah, so I remember Ultimate Battle 22. I played that after Final Bout. I remember the first 5 minutes of playing that. I was like, this game is actually kind of good. But then 10 minutes in, I'm like, I'm bored. Yeah, I'm bored. I mean, it's very slow. I can't get away from my opponent fast enough. And this is like a really, really bad toned down Budokai. Butoden,
Yeah, and Butoden is the ones that I played. So I got my hands on a Butoden 2 ROM, and I love Butoden 2. I was able to figure that game out. Butoden 3 had no story mode, but Butoden 2 had the fucking awesome what if mode where Boat comes to Earth and fucking they resurrect, they turn people evil, and it was good shit for the time. It was way ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I think the first Dragon Ball Z ROM I played was Butoden 2, and like this is way before there was any English translation for it. And
Right.
so, and I played that game all the way through, and I was like, yeah, this game is pretty good. I mean, I played a little of Butoden 1, which I didn't like. I got all the way to Android 18, but I couldn't beat her. But then I think in recent years, I have beaten the full game. But yeah, Butoden 2, well, yeah, that was a really good game. And then Butoden 3, the funny thing about Butoden 3 was, so I was playing that ROM with my friends over, and then my friend told me Dabura was actually a reincarnated Zarbon, and I believed him at first.
That we could do a whole podcast
I
on
know,
the
right?
lies of the Dragon Ball fans of the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I saw this episode. True story, by the way, I'm about to tell you. I saw this episode where Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 and King Cold punches him out of the form, and it was the coolest shit ever. Remember that episode of Dragon Ball Z, bro? I remember. Dude, in GT, Goku has a beard and fights robots. They were right about the robots, not so much about the beard, though.
Yeah, I remember, I think in 2002 or something, like I was talking to this kid and he was he was talking about Dragon Ball AF, and I was like, I was trying to convince him, like,
It's
sorry,
real.
I was trying to convince him that, sorry, kid, this isn't real. But you see the look in his eyes, man. Like he was so convinced it was real. And so I was like, you know what? I don't want to break the illusion for him. So I'm just going to say, yeah, maybe one of these days they'll do a Dragon Ball AF. But well, we got Super instead. So
We got Super instead, yeah.
Yeah.
And now Daima. Real quick, Gooey Mania says my first Dragon Ball game was Dragon Power. Okay.
Oh yeah, Dragon
That game,
Power.
yes, that game did get brought over from
Yeah.
Japan, but it was all changed. It was not a Dragon Ball game. It was made into something else. Did they ever explain why that is? Was it a licensing thing?
I'm gonna sue. I don't really think it was a licensing thing. I think it was just the fact that, obviously in 1989, like nobody knew what Dragon Ball was, so they had to make. And at that time, like you had Karate Kid, you had Kung Fu on the NES, so Bandai was like, okay, let's try to make something that will kind of match Kung Fu and the Karate Kid on the NES, and we have this Dragon Ball game. We'll just change it around, call it Dragon Power, but we'll kind of leave in the theme song, Makafushigi Adventure. I think they left that in the US version, but
but it kept playing. Oh, dun, 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 dun,
and then
then just looping over and over again. Like, oh, I love this song, but please.
Yeah, they made Goku look more like Sun Wukong, and then they changed the Bulma to Nora, from what I remember. But the game was not very good.
No, it wasn't. But now I think, like you said, there is like a properly translated fan ROM. Also, when it comes to this book from Ryan, like I said, check out the PDFs. In the book, there's a little bit of a history on each game.
Yeah.
And then there's like a review. So you went back and played the entire catalog of Dragon Ball games. I'm guessing with ROMs. Now, at the time that you wrote the book, were there English translations of all of them? Because some of the Game Boy games, I haven't found English. I mean, I'm sure by now they're probably out there.
For most of the NES and the Famicom games, there are translations, but for the Game Boy games and for some of the more obscure consoles, no.
Did you ever play the Playdia? Did you ever actually play the Playdia game on a Playdia?
Actually, let me show you.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
I have the Playdia.
You have one, bro. I can't believe it. I have
the games. And if you go to the Battle Geek Plus YouTube channel, I did review both of the games.
Yeah, Battle Geek Plus, press start for awesome.
Yeah.
There, it's on there. It's definitely on there. I just didn't even. I either forgot or I didn't know that you actually bought a Playdia. Like
I mean, it was back in 2019, so it was a long time ago.
That wasn't that long ago, bro. And you know what? If you had bought it in like 2003, it would have probably been cheaper because the retro gaming market blasted up in the 2000s. Dude, remember the days when you could literally go to a flea market and buy a Nintendo cartridge? $5 max. Yeah. Now, dude, you know what's crazy is, and I told this story recently in my Discord. There was a Middle Eastern guy at a flea market near my old place. This is back in 2009.
Yeah.
I bought Silent Hill 2, 3, and Shattered Memories, each one for about $20.
Oh, damn, that's nice.
Well, yeah, and I love Silent Hill 2. I love
Yeah.
2 and 3. Shattered Memories can eat a cock, but I love 2 and 3. And then I go to the retro game store near my house and I see Silent Hill for $250. And I'm like, when did this happen?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, it went up in price. It's a rare game. I've got this game with the booklet and everything. I've got the case, the book. It just happens. Like,
yeah.
It's like you don't even know what you've got.
I know, right?
It just happened. Like, I think, isn't the big Earthbound, the big box Earthbound, isn't that like $1,000 some shit now? Or
yeah, I remember when that was on sale when it was brand new. I mean, I bought
like
that for
$60.
Yeah, I bought that for like, I think for $49.99 back in $1995. But now I had to sell it when like I had to sell it when I entered college, and I was able to sell that for like about $150. But now it's like $1,000.
You know what's funny too is I remember when you sold your Dragon boxes, and I was like,
Yeah.
why'd you do that? But now it's funny because now we have Seed of Might, and the Dragon boxes are obsolete anyways now. But at the time they weren't though.
Yeah, actually, I rebought those Dragon boxes from our pal Julie.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because like Julie needed some money, so I offered her about $700 for all 7 of the U.S. Dragon boxes. So I have them all back now.
Julie BYM, right? Is it BYM or YBM? I always get those letters mixed up.
Well, let's see. It's like Yugi's Black Magician, so like YBM, yeah.
YBM, okay.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Julie that I'll always remember is, and I haven't talked to Julie in a long time, is Julie's the only person I know who knows all of the Japanese Pokemon names by heart. I know a couple of them, like fucking Lizardo and shit. But that's like the only non-Japanese that I mean, like, people think that like with Dragon Ball, we have the Makanko Sapo and the special beam. How do you remember all that?
Right.
It's easy. Remembering hundreds of Pokemon names from America and Japan.
Exactly.
That's tough, man. It's tough. So, okay. So moving on.
Right.
The Butoden games I thought were good. Butoden 3 had no story mode, so you played a little bit. But for some reason, Butoden 3 was in the Boo Saga, but for some reason Future Trunks was there.
Yeah.
That was always weird. Now, how do you feel about Hyperdimension? Because that was the one I actually felt like a complete game. And I think that's the first Super Nintendo game to actually go all the way to Kid Boo.
Yeah, so I remember Hyperdimension for the first couple of years. I think in the late 90s, it was unplayable because it used a special SA1 chip. But then I remember when I was in college, my first year in college in the fall of 1999, and also like the emulators were finally able to play it. And I remember going on planetnamek.com and like seeing the news. So on my college computer, I downloaded the ROM of Hyperdimension, and I was playing it, and I was playing it in computer class, and then a whole bunch of people gathered around me saying, "Oh, what's this Dragon Ball game like? I'm watching the show on Cartoon Network, man." I was like, "Yeah, this game is called Hyperdimension. It was released a couple of years ago, but now it's available to play on emulators." And they're like, "Whoa," they're like, "Whoa, where can I download that, man?" So like, I forgot the site where I downloaded it from, but yeah, I showed them, and like they were like, "Yeah, so like when does Goku go Super Saiyan and stuff?" I'm like, "Well, it's 1999 now, so he's gonna go Super Saiyan probably in like a month or two."
It was that year.
Yeah, exactly.
It was that year. Yeah, it was sometime like November probably when it aired. You go back and count the episodes out. I mean, I don't remember the month.
Yeah, I also remember too. Hyperdimension was among the first of the Dragon Ball games to get a full English translation. They did it in French first. So
yes, I was just gonna say they did it in French first.
Yeah, I played through the entire French translation. Then I think 2002 or 3, or probably earlier or a little later than that, they finally got it all out in English. But now the thing about the English version is like all the text all the text is all in caps. It's all close together, so it's a little hard to read, but it's fully in English, and yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think they made. I think there were two English translations because
right,
I saw one that was like the one you're talking about, but there was another one I saw. I think on romhacks.com
yeah.
where it was like the text was fixed.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah,
that was,
like
but that was way later. That was
yeah,
like
way later.
decades later.
Yeah, if you download the hyperdimension ROM now, yeah, you're probably gonna get the much better text.
So, how do you, looking back on things, because those games are not hyperdimension, but the ones before hyperdimension,
Yeah,
they were very primitive. How do you feel about? Because to me, I didn't really understand it at the time. The Dragon Ball games on Famicom and
yeah,
later Super Famicom that were like sort of like Legacy of Goku, where you're going around the
yeah.
planet, but when you get into a battle, you have like cards at the bottom of the screen, and you have to like pick your attack and all that. Like that system I always felt was very flawed, but for some
Yeah.
reason the Japanese had to have loved it because it's and they had like what like 9 games with that fucking
Oh
shit.
yeah, for sure. Well, if
Like
you oh yeah, so if you play the first if you play the first like Dragon Ball Z RPG for the Super Nintendo, I think, which is called the Legendary Super Saiyan, it goes all the way up from the beginning of Z all the way to the battle with Frieza. Like that has it has like both like the most catchy but most annoying battle tune ever. Like the
1 second. I gotta
yeah.
roast. I gotta roast this fucking guy, bro.
Okay.
I only watch DBZ in English. I don't want my Goku to sound like grandma. That's fine, bro. How about this? I'll take Grandma Goku, and you take all the censorship, take all the fucking edits, take
Yeah.
all the changes, take all the. If since the word Satan, you're too much of a little kid to appreciate. Hercule is just fine for you, bro. So I'll take Grandma Goku, and you can keep your little fucking 8-year-old little kid dub and enjoy it. Jam out to Bruce Faulkner for your heart's content and keep watching the little kid version of Dragon Ball because you're probably a little kid. You can't handle a little bit of violence, a little bit of adult tones. It's fine, bro. You know what? I miss being a kid too, but I like being an adult.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely
I,
enjoy.
I'll keep the legendary Masako Nozawa, who doesn't
Exactly.
sound like a grandma, and you keep the fucking little kid fucking rated PG dub.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think that dub belongs in another dimension.
It's literally one of the worst dubs ever made, and the
Yeah.
fact that people don't understand that is wild to me.
Yeah.
When you
And
change every single line of a show, bro, it's a bad dub.
yeah. And even the voice actors themselves want to redub it.
They hate it. Even the
Yeah.
people who did it. No, I hate subtitles, so you can't read. So first it was Grandma Goku. Now he says, "Well, I hate reading."
Okay.
Well, if I'm sorry you hate reading, bro, because this is a pretty good book. If
Yeah.
you
Thank
didn't
you.
hate reading, if you knew how to read, you should get this book.
Right.
But anyway, that's my little roast for the day.
Okay.
What I was gonna say was, and that's by the way, the roast is not like I don't hate the guy; it's just a playful roast.
Okay.
Hopefully, he won't take it too seriously.
Right.
But what I was gonna say was, how do you feel about the card system? Because I just never got it. Like it never. It just, you know what I mean? Like I don't hate it, but it's just, it wasn't that fun for me.
Yeah, it's a bit complicated to explain the card system, because like because it's like mostly random stuff. I mean, it's not random to the point where you're going to get a whole bunch of cards that will make you lose, but it's not like Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy where you just choose fight or spell or magic or ability. Yeah, like you do get cards for those, but they kind of come a little more randomly. And I think the card system was made, just to make players play longer, because
But it's repetitive.
yeah,
It
it's very
stops being
repetitive.
fun. You're
Yeah.
fighting like all these different Cybermen that are like basically like slimes trying to level up, and it's like and I'm just like, all right, let's get to the point. Like I hated that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm glad they got rid of it in the future games, but I guess it's a Japanese thing. They like random, like they like random cards. So I guess.
It was weird, but then what they did was they have a game on Super Nintendo, The Legend of the Super Saiyan. That one got a translation relatively early, and that was the same kind of game except with just better graphics, but it only goes to the Frieza saga.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, and obviously your review is in here, but how do you feel about the diagonal RPG? I actually have not beat them, and I've been meaning to for a long time. The diagonal Super Famicom Dragon Ball art was Super Gokuden, and what the fuck was the other one called? There's two of them.
Let's see. There was Super Gokuden 1 and 2.
Oh, so okay, I thought I had a different name.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those? Because again, I wanted to play those for a long time because they're actual like RPGs, not with the card system. But I think we only got a full translation recently, right? Like maybe it's like 6-7 years.
Yeah, I would say we got the full translation of those amid the mid to late 2010s, and I definitely recommend the second one. I think you'll like the second one a lot more because the first one goes all the way
to like Piccolo, right?
Yeah, it goes all the way up to Piccolo, but then the second one actually begins at the 23rd Budokai and then goes all the way to Frieza.
Yeah, but wouldn't I would like a, but if I play both of them, I would get pretty much the entire story going all the way to Frieza.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think they made a lot of improvements in the second one because one, it's not as difficult as the first, and the second one is definitely a lot more faster paced. Like kind of like how you're setting Dragon Quest. Yeah, like you're setting your Dragon Quest 3
ultra fast
to ultra fast. That's how it's like.
It's unplayable otherwise, bro.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, where my intro to Dragon Ball
was DBZ Kyle and Nicktoons. A lot of it's funny. It's funny people say that, and there's nothing wrong with your intro to Dragon Ball being something. But what I find funny is people that say that the first Dragon Ball I ever saw was Super. That surprises me.
Yeah, that's
because at least with Kai, it was an old show kind of redone. When you say that Super is the first Dragon Ball show you watch, it's kind of mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
And we're going to have people in about 15 years say, oh, my first Dragon Ball show was Daima. And it's like,
so basically you're getting Blue Popo.
Yeah, the Blue Popo. And again, that American censorship, bro. That's why what I was telling Killmonger earlier, bro. I can't deal with the censorship, bro.
Exactly.
I can't deal with the censorship. I just can't. I don't like censorship. And it just you get trade-offs. But I will say that those RPGs I think were big improvements. Now, did you ever play one of the ones that I couldn't get it to work on a ROM? The Sega Genesis. I think Sega Genesis or Mega Drive was it Shin Butoden?
It's actually called Buyu Retsuden.
Buyu Retsuden. Shin Butoden was Sega Saturn.
Yeah, right? Sega Saturn. Yeah.
That's it. So, how were those?
Okay, so
I never got the Sega Saturn is very hard to emulate.
Oh yeah. So Buyu Retsuden on the Sega Mega Drive, it's basically the Butoden games, actually cut down for
You're right. Just letting that guy know.
Yeah.
You're good.
Actually cut down for the Sega Mega Drive, which we have here as the Sega Genesis. And it does not play as well, and also the graphics are not as good as the Super Famicom games, and you can really see it in like
the colors, right?
Especially in the colors. I would say if you're gonna play Buyu Retsuden, just get it as a collector's item, but not so much to play.
So it's not even that great. Now, what about Shin Butoden on Sega Saturn?
Okay, so Shin Butoden on Sega Saturn. This game gets a lot of praise. I mean, and it kind of deserves it. It's a marginally improved version of Ultimate Battle 22 because, it's a lot faster, which is great. You actually get the split screen back, so it's easier to get away from your opponent. But they have the same roster as Ultimate Battle 22. But however, you still get the yellow fireballs and, the yellow Kamehamehas.
So it's basically Ultimate Battle 22, but a little bit better.
A little bit better, but man, the CPU difficulty in that game, even if you put that thing to easy, it's still turned up all the way to max. So I never quite, yeah, I never quite beat the game if I have to confess. But there is one great thing about Shin Butoden is Mr. Satan mode, which I think is the best part of the game. So, Mr. Satan mode, you get the
That's Hercule for
yeah,
Killmonger. No, I'm
yes.
kidding, bro. I'm fucking with
Yeah,
you, bro. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So you're not exactly playing as Mr. Satan as an actual fighter, but you're kind of playing Mr. Satan in the background, and like he has like so he has bombs, he has a banana peels, and like all these fun little traps. You get to move them around while two CPU while two CPU fighters are fighting, and then you have to sabotage one of them because you're betting against the other one to get money so you can pay back Android 18.
They need to bring that. They need to bring that mode back for Sparking Zero, bro.
Oh
What you just
yeah,
said.
yeah.
They need to bring that mode back.
I hope they do. But although Mr. Satan mode, it's fun, but Mr. Satan moves really slow. I mean, if he moved a bit faster, it would be a lot more fun. Now, I wouldn't 100% say that Mr. Satan mode makes the game 100% good. I mean, I think Shin Butoden is a decent but borderline mediocre game, but a lot better than Ultimate Battle 22.
Yeah, it just sounds like if Ultimate Battle 22 is a D minus, that's like a D plus or a C minus, right?
Yeah, I'll say a D plus.
Yeah. Also, I want to address a couple of the super chats here real quick, like because we get them in and we talk, we answer their questions. Teddy Hart says, "Are you familiar with the Raging Blast 3 project by Treevax? Many of his ideas seem to have made it in the new Sparking Zero game." Treevax, I have noticed that about Bandai. They do tend to borrow a lot of Treevax's shit. I remember hearing about that years ago. Don't know about the project. Yeah, I don't know about where the project's at now. So
yeah, me neither.
I have no clue. Xavier says Blue Popo is only 4K's double for CBC Kai. It's the Toonzai version.
Oh, okay.
I want to make this clear. It's not a 4Kids dub. It's still a Funimation dub with Sabat and Schemmel and Monica Rial and Chris Ayers and all them. But the TV version for Toonzai is the one that has Blue Popo. So that's what he's talking about. Yeah, Nicktoons did not have Blue Popo, but a lot of people think it did until I also thought it did because I never watched Kai on TV. Only Kai I had ever seen was online or I never saw it on television. But there's a lot of people younger than us who were little kids when Kai came out, and that's their Dragon Ball. And then what's even more weird is they aired Kai on Nickelodeon, and then they jumped to GT before the Buu Saga final chapters came out. So there's people who skipped the entire Buu arc and went to GT, and to this day, like when they get online, they figure it out. But it's so weird.
Yeah, and I thought we had it confusing with the first 53 episodes.
Well, I think, you know what? It's probably just as bad.
Yeah, okay.
It's probably just as bad.
Well, but at least. I think at least they got the Kikuchi or the Yamamoto music.
For what? For which one? For Toonzai?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember.
I don't remember, bro. Yeah. Like I never watched that version. I only heard about it. Like I had seen it. I saw Kai, and I never even saw the entire Kai series. It was I just watched Z. But I remember when the Yamamoto thing went down. Yeah, which was a shame because
I like Yamamoto.
I loved him, bro. Like I get that plagiarism is bad, but the motherfucker made bangers.
In my opinion, he didn't really plagiarize. He was
sampled.
Yeah, he was sampled. He paid tribute to those songs,
and let me tell you, you and I are not the only ones. I remember when they put out the Budokai HD collection for 1 and 3. A lot of people were like, where the fuck is the music?
Exactly, man. Hey, I'm a Yamamoto defender, so.
No, I like Yamamoto. I had Black and Fist on, and we've talked about it. We're like, dude, I get the whole plagiarism thing. There's people in the fandom that I think are very snooty and snobby, and I do understand. I get the plagiarism thing being wrong. I'm not saying it's not, but you can't deny the man made bangers, bro. And the music he did for the video games wasn't even all plagiarized. It was a few songs here and there, but it wasn't everything.
Yeah, and he did a lot of the music for a lot of the older games we're talking about right now.
All of them, I think, right? Like
Yeah, for all
almost
of them.
all of them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
dude.
a lot of banger hits, in my
And
opinion.
that's what blows my mind. Like it sucks because when I don't want to say canceled him, but I guess that's what happened, right? When they got rid of him, I get getting rid of the music that he plagiarized, but why get rid of all of it?
Yeah, exactly.
There were people who love those soundtracks, man.
Yeah, me too.
Xavier says, I saw Kai, then the movies, then GT on TV, then saw Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z on YouTube 10 years ago.
On YouTube.
My interdiction, I guess he means introduction, to Super Saiyan 3 and Fusion are the movies and games.
Okay, cool.
You know what, though? That's kind of like what we went through, just different. Because we went through watching Dragon Ball Z out of order. You know what's wild? I never saw Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So people are going to find this weird.
Okay.
But it's not that weird considering the fact that this history of how weird the releases were. I never saw Dragon Ball and then Z like from beginning to end with not skipping around. I have seen every episode of Dragon Ball and Z multiple times.
Right.
But watching it from Pilaf to Bout, literally the very beginning to the very end, I've only done that 3 times in my life.
Oh, really?
And the first time was in like 2014.
Okay, yeah.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like when you've seen the episode so many times, you don't have to watch it in order because you know what happens. But at the same time, like, you know, I don't think I'm the only one.
Right, yeah. Yeah, like when I watched, let's see, so actually, yeah, earlier this year I watched all of Dragon Ball GT.
Right.
And see, when I started with Z, I obviously started with the dub, the first 53 episodes, then I watched fan subs. Then when I got the Dragon boxes, I think that was the first time I watched all of it, all of it continuously. Now with the original Dragon Ball, I mean, yeah, I saw that on Cartoon Network first, but then I bought the DVDs as they were coming out. So I would watch the sub version on DVDs. I watched the dub version on Cartoon Network.
Right, me too.
Now I confess I have not watched. I think I haven't watched, like the dub of the original Dragon Ball. I haven't seen. I mean, I watched it all in Japanese when the DVDs were coming out, but I haven't seen. I haven't seen all of it dubbed since the introduction of Yajirobe. So I haven't heard Sean Schemmel as young Goku actually battling Chris Sabat in the
23rd tournament.
In the Budokai.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. Like I've seen the dub of OG Dragon Ball, but not every single episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Because by the time the thing people have to understand is, by the time that Funimation got around to releasing Dragon Ball dub, that had already seen the entire thing on Nippon Golden Network. So it was like, and then it's funny, in 2001, IRC opened up, and I was able to get at the time the entire Buu saga, literally the whole thing. Right. And then the following year, the Buu saga aired on Toonami in 2002.
Yeah.
And I didn't even watch it. Like I did catch some episodes here and there, but by the time it aired, I had the entire Buu saga, so there was no point to watch it dubbed if I already owned it.
Yeah, actually, what was kind of funny in 2001, I think that was when the Buu saga was airing both on Cartoon Network and also the international channel. So I watched all of it weekly on the international channel. I caught the dub.
No subs. On the international.
Absolutely no subs. So I think 2002 or early 2003 is when it was when International Channel was done with Dragon Ball Z, the entire Buu saga. Then I didn't really watch a lot of the dubbed Buu saga in Dragon Ball Z. I did catch like the last 5 episodes, but I knew I had to watch, the absolute last episode I had to watch dubbed. So, and I thought they handled it pretty well.
Yeah, by the time they got to the Buu saga, the dub did improve. The problem is the Frieza saga and the Android saga. Those were a mess. Okay, this is a weird question Connor Burton says, "Geek, what was I watching from 2000 to 2004?" Z, right? I don't fucking know what you were watching. I wasn't at your house. I don't know what you were. How do I know you weren't watching porn? I don't know what you were watching, bro. I don't know. Like, I guess what he means, if he's asking if he was watching Z or Kai, Kai didn't come out till 2009, so it would have to be Z if that's the question.
Yeah, I would just say Z and GT if you're watching Cartoon Network.
Right, and Dragon Ball, because there was no Kai till 2009, and the Kai dub was until 2010. So objectively, like, there was no Kai back then.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing that's the question you're asking. I'm not sure, but it's like somebody saying, "What was I watching last year?" And someone,
how do we know?
Godzilla -1. Yeah, you're right. You nailed it. Yes, that's what I was. And then this year, and next year,
right,
and the year after. So, I want to talk to you about the first Dragon Ball game that I actually wound up loving.
Okay.
To death, prior to the Budokai games.
Right.
1998, the era of mod chipping and putting springs in the back of your PS1s. Bro, you know I've got 2 PS1s in my closet that are broken from high school that I still can't fucking use.
All right, yeah.
Because the eye wears out.
Oh, yeah, because when I was trying to play the PlayStation Dragon Ball games, along with a whole bunch of other imports and also bootlegs I made back in the day.
You and I have the same history, bro. Same history. When you learn, I'm just going to say this. This is not a piracy advocacy thing, but let me just say this. Ryan and I, we're not rich. We're fucking poor. When you figure out that you can go to Blockbuster, rent Resident Evil 2 and burn it onto a CD and play it without paying $40 for it, it's like the holy grail. It's like when you first download a ROM pack of 5,000. I have every single Nintendo game in this USB stick. Like, it's like power. You feel powerful. But we were broke, bro. I'm not saying now I buy games again.
Yeah, me too.
What am I gonna do? Tell my parents to buy me 10 games? I was broke, dude.
Yeah, like my parents wouldn't even buy me one game.
Fucking working at a car wash and shit. Like, fuck, I was working at McDonald's when I was fucking a teenager, bro. I didn't have fucking money to buy games.
Yeah, like I was only I think back the minimum wage back when I was working for the first time was about $5.75 an hour. And after they take taxes out, you do not have money to buy games. Like
Were you in California back then?
Yeah, California.
Okay, so. My minimum wage was $4.75. So it was even less here.
Oh, wow, man.
And I got paid $5.50 an hour at McDonald's, bro.
Wow.
Maybe I could buy a game once every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was only buying games like maybe once every couple of months. Like not like every single paycheck.
That's what I'm saying. And there's these things called bills. Like, I don't mean Beerus's, mistranslated name. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's the thing. Yeah, I was like you, bro. Like I still have them too. I have a stack of PS1 games back there in one of my spindles. Right. That's just like fucking Parasite Eve. Like, take your pick. Take your pick. Because that was like the only so Dragon Ball Z Legends, man.
Yeah,
I knew you were gonna
say that. Yeah. So the thing about Dragon Ball Z Legends, I don't have. I have it in my closet, but I didn't bring it out with me right now. But the thing about Legends, what was great about it is even if you played it back in the day, it begins with the Saiyan arc, which everyone watching the dub was familiar with. So you could play the beginning of that and understand it. Then after that, you had to fight with the Ginyu Force, which most people will also understand too. But then after that, you had the battle with Frieza, and you're like, oh wow, that's new material for most people only watching the dub at the time. And then you got the end. It goes through the entire arc. It goes through the entire series.
Yes, I think that is the first Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Z game that went through the entire Z portion of the manga. From Saiyan to Bout. I think that's the first one. And unfortunately now every fucking game does that. And we don't get any OG Dragon Ball love. The fact that the 23rd tournament was DLC for Kakarot is a fucking miracle.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I loved Legends. It was a different type of game because it wasn't like a traditional fighting game.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you'd call it, but it felt more like
Uh,
it was almost like a 2D version of Tenkaichi with a lot more restrictions.
I think back in the day we called it an actual simulator of the show. Like we didn't have like a genre for it because it was actually based off because like they based Legends off this game. Yeah, like they based it off the Dragon Ball Z game, like Son Goku Legend off the Turbo Duo, which played mostly the same, but it was a little more complicated.
What I didn't even know about that game. What system was that on?
It was on the Turbo Duo, which we got here as the
Turbo Graphics.
Yeah, which we got it as the Turbo Graphics 16. So yeah, like we obviously never got this game. It's a pretty good game, not as good as Legends, and I think Legends actually made things actually more simplified from the Turbo Duo game and made it far more playable.
I mean, the things that I liked about Legends, so it was a very simple game. You're tapping to do punches and kicks, and then you can knock somebody up. So it's like, again, it's a more simplified Tenkaichi, and you can knock them up, combo them, and then eventually it's like a tug of war life bar. When you get them down, you perform a finisher. Now, the thing I liked about this game that I didn't learn about till I started reading game facts and people online is that to properly play through this game, you have to follow the manga canon of events.
Exactly.
So otherwise you don't get the true ending. So for example, I'll give people a very easy example. When you have Goku versus Frieza on Namek, base Goku against Final Form Frieza, if you beat Frieza, you're not going to get the real ending.
Exactly.
You have to, and this is kind of cool, but also it was the first game to ever do something like this, and Tenkaichi kind of does it now. Sparking Zero kind of does it. You had to swap out Goku for Krillin.
Yeah.
Let Frieza kill Krillin. So you have to sit there and let the computer beat you up.
Yeah, exactly.
Krillin is killed, then Goku goes Super Saiyan. Otherwise, you will not get Super Saiyan Goku.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the first game to ever do some shit like that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, like when I first played it back in the day, like
You're
I
just
didn't.
playing it.
Yeah,
You're trying to win.
I'm just playing. So I beat Goku. No, I beat Frieza with base Goku, and then I beat then I beat the androids. With Super Saiyan Goku. Like I didn't know at the time that. Yeah, like when you're in the Android arc, you have to let Android 19 beat Goku, and then
Vegeta shows up,
Vegeta
like in the show.
Yeah, and then after that, and then you have Vegeta beat Android 19, and then you have Piccolo beat Android 20. So, and then you have to let Android 18 beat Vegeta, and then after that, but you do have to beat Android 18 with anybody else. So you have to follow the show as closely as possible. That part
wasn't in the show.
Yeah, that part wasn't in the show. Like, for any part that were, because obviously, you have to win it. Like you have to beat your opponent to win the stage. So, so if you like let's say in the Android arc, you let Android 18 beat Vegeta, but then you beat Android 18 with Piccolo, like you're not going to get penalized for that.
Yeah, and that was one of the sort of ones. The thing that used to fuck with me about that game, Legends, the mobile game. No, not okay.
Yeah, I haven't played
Legends, the mobile game is called Dragon Ball Legends.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Dragon Ball Z Legends on the PlayStation 1. This is not the same game, bro. We're talking about a PS1 game, dude.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people get this confused. Like when I saw that mobile Dragon Ball, when I saw the Dragon Ball Legends game come out for mobile, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna get everybody confused. And it does.
No, not everybody, just people like you and I, because 90% of the fandom that plays the mobile game of Legends has never heard of the PS1 game.
Right, yeah.
Like Xavier. He started with Kai. How the fuck would he have known? I'm not making fun of you, bro, but how would he have known about Dragon Ball Z on PS1?
Right.
He probably thinks that PS1's like an antique or some shit like that, bro. Like the way that we look at the way that we look at like fucking the phones that you have fucking when you hold one piece here and you hold the other one here and you talk into it, bro. Operator. The way we look at that, people like Xavier look at the PS1 like,
right, exactly.
Oh, that's the PlayStation 1.
Nah, man.
It's like, oh, back in the day they had the Apple II. And it's like you had disc drives where the discs were like this big, the 5 1/4 discs, and every game was like 4 of those.
Exactly.
You know, it's just funny to me. But back to Legends, the one that fucked with me a lot was in the last fight with Kid Buu.
Yeah.
You had to pick Goku first.
Yeah.
Then you have to beat Buu. No, you have to let Buu beat you. Then you swap, but you can't let him kill you.
Yeah.
Then you swap him out for Vegeta. Then you have to swap him out again for Goku.
Yeah.
And then I don't think you swapped him out for Fat Buu. I think you have to beat him with the Spirit Bomb. But the only way you would have known to do that is if you looked at a guide or if you actually saw the entire series or read it.
Yeah.
And we did not see the entire series back then, dude. How the fuck were we supposed to know that?
Yeah, because when you play that, when you begin the final battle in Legends, you're Vegito. So I beat Buu with Vegito, and then after that, the game's over.
Yeah, it gives you an ending.
Yeah,
it gives you like an ending.
Yeah,
but the real ending.
Oh yeah, not the real ending. Like you have, I think what I remember is like you have to beat. I think you have to beat Buu for a little while as Vegito, and then after
but not kill him, right?
Yeah, but not kill him. But then after that, I think he'll turn into Kid Buu. Then I think you defuse. Think
that is what happens.
I think there's like an event that makes you defuse, and then after that you take it from there.
But what was cool about that game too is that game had like the voices, because I remember whenever somebody shows up on the screen, they always have like a line of dialogue.
Yeah,
like when Super Buu or when Buhan becomes Kid Buu, he's like, like he makes like a noise from the show, and I always thought that was cool. That was my first time ever seeing anything like that. Like,
so also back in the day too, from what I heard from Planet Namek and from other retailers, they actually were going to bring this game out here in America, but the problem was at the time, I think this was around 2002 and 3. Everyone was playing on the PS2. So, and they brought out Ultimate Battle 22 and Dragon Ball.
Nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah, like nobody gave a fuck about Legends anymore.
But that's already a bad game.
Yeah. So
I would have rather they done Legends.
So I'm surprised they brought out Ultimate Battle 22 and GT Final Bout, but not Legends. But they actually had
good one.
Yeah, but they had plans to bring Legends out.
I would have loved that, because when I played Legends, and it's probably the same when you played Legends, it was in Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
And the Japanese would give you a synopsis of the arc of like this whatever story arc you're doing in Japanese. And I couldn't read kanji, bro. Fuck, I still can't read it. So it's what are you supposed to do?
Exactly.
Let me get this super chat here. Bosnian legend, best EB film to watch while drugged out and can't breathe. I've never been drugged out and unable to breathe, but I would probably assume Broly, because you're drugged out and you see Gogeta versus Broly at fighting, that's an acid trip.
Yeah, I agree too.
Also in movie 12, when Goku goes SS3, there's that scene where he's like powering up and like the background's changing colors and shit. Like, that's a fucking trip.
Yeah, it's like early 90s CG in the background too.
It was, yes, it was CG. Gaming Hub UK, jokes on them because companies are pushing to release stuff in retro like Alien Romulus and VHS, and Sonic doing a promo on a Sega Genesis game cartridge. Well, that's the way things are now. Yeah, and there's a lot of horror movies coming out on VHS for like collectors. I don't really see the point, because VHS, I still have my VCR, but no, my favorite one, bro, is, do you have a VHS player? It's called a VCR. There's no such thing as a VHS player, bro. Like, no, it's a VCR, you fuck. People say that all the time. Don't get it twisted. I played PS1, GameCube, and 64. No, I know, bro. I was just fucking with you. I'm not being serious. Like when I was fucking with you earlier, like I was fucking with Killmonger. I was just saying people like you who got into Dragon Ball late, like you wouldn't have even known about Legends because that's one of those games. Like it wasn't like you could buy the game in a store. It was an import.
No. Yeah.
You had to be reading the gaming magazines and go to the very back that had like the import shit. They had like some of the Super Battle Collection toys. So you could see that. And they had the games there. But if you weren't reading magazines, you were old enough, even if you go back and play PS1, because you didn't live in that era like we did, you wouldn't have, like, you know, we can read about shit now. Like I read about, like there's documentaries out there about like the birth of Pac-Man and shit. And I played Pac-Man, but I wasn't around when it came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's different. Yeah. When you were around back then, bro. And the thing is, the gaming, my first exposure to Dragon Ball was gaming magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Electronic Gaming Monthly.
EGM, April 94, had a special, I think it was on either the Dragon Ball Z arcade game or Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2. And I just saw the art and I saw this blonde-haired guy doing a Hadouken because that's all I knew at the time. Exactly. I was like, oh, it's a Japanese thing. And it's just, and you know what's crazy? I talked about this the other day. I don't think people understand the impact of Japanese media because a lot of people's first game was Mario. That's a fucking Japanese game.
Yeah.
Sonic is from Japan.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, like all the big shit here as far as media goes in gaming is Japan.
Yeah, all from Japan.
Then you find out Power Rangers is from Japan.
Yeah.
And it's like did we make anything on our own? Like, you know, it feels that way.
Let's see.
He says those Beckett DBZ magazines were everything. That was later. And it's funny because Hoot Baby brought that up to me the other day on Twitch. He's like asking me about what magazine. He was like, do you remember this magazine? And I said it was probably a Pojo or a Beckett.
Yeah, I remember those magazines.
Those were like in 2000 though. Those were like
like way later.
Yeah, we were talking about more so we're talking about more so like the gaming magazines. Yeah. Because the gaming magazines back then always had like a section about international games.
Like we had Nintendo Power, like we had Game Players magazine, we had
EGM, Game Pro.
Game Pro. And they all had import sections and
all of them. And I remember, I'll never forget this, bro. My heart hurts. I still have this magazine.
Okay.
It was a 1992 EGM, and it says coming soon, and it has Final Fantasy V.
Yeah, I remember that. I saw that. I remember that magazine too.
And then later in the magazine, it says coming to Super Nintendo, Dragon Warrior 5.
Yeah, I remember that too.
And me and my brother waited for Dragon Warrior 5. It was like that line in Titanic when the old lady's like, they waited to live, waited to die, waiting for an absolution that would never come. And I didn't get to play Dragon Quest V until the era of the ROMs.
Exactly.
God bless ROMs, dude. Like the thing about piracy and ROMs is if they don't give us a choice, bro. Like take Dragon Quest X that you've played.
Yeah.
I know you well enough, and me and Samantha and Sack and Daisy. If they put out Dragon Quest X tomorrow, we're all gonna buy it.
Oh, exactly.
But if you don't fucking put it out because of your bureaucracy bullshit or whatever excuse you have, you expect your hardcore base not to fucking watch. It's the same thing with Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
The only reason, this is a fact that people need to understand. The only reason that people like Ryan and I even saw Dragon Ball in Japanese is because the dub took too fucking long.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was manga entertainment and we had the entire series by 2000 or maybe by 99, no problem. Yeah. If we lived in Mexico and had the whole series by then, no problem. Yeah. But when they handcuff us and they say, I'm sorry, but there is no more dub episodes coming out. What do you want me to do? Just sit here and be like, yeah, I love this fucking Dragon Ball Z show, but I don't need to watch anymore. Get fucked. I want to watch it
Exactly.
all.
Yeah.
Because that's a very bingeable show. Like,
Yeah.
that's a very addicting show. And I don't care if you're a dub fan, sub fan, it's an addicting show nevertheless. So now, yesterday, I talked to somebody from the Funimation cast who's in Daima, and I go, where's the rest of these episodes at? He's like, we're doing them, but I don't know when they're putting them out. Right. Why is Crunchyroll why isn't there a dub episode dropping? Like episode 4 of Daima dub should already be out. Now, at least we don't have to wait years like for the old shit.
Yeah.
But it's like your fans, at least the majority of them or the most hardcore ones, are going to watch in Japanese first. Yeah. Same thing goes for One Piece. Remember when One Piece was behind from 2 years? You think a hardcore One Piece fan is gonna wait for the dub? Fuck? Wait for a dub?
Wait for the dub? No way.
That's like, what if I die tomorrow?
Exactly.
Life's too short to wait. You know what? I'm gonna get a fuck. You know what? I'm gonna get a shirt. I'm gonna put a shirt out that says "Life's too short to wait for dubs."
Yeah, you should, dude.
That I haven't done. Life is too short to wait for dubs, dude. Fuck.
Well, I mean, I confess I don't pay as much attention to the dub side. I mostly watch Dragon Ball in Japanese. I mean,
me too.
I mean, we're friends with the voice actors, but they don't have control on like when the show goes out. So.
Right. It's not their fault at all. It's probably Toei because it's the company.
Toei.
It's always the companies.
Yeah, I mean no disrespect. I mean no disrespect to our voice actor friends. So yeah.
No, it's not even their call because they want it out sooner. Like every voice actor I know wants the Daima dub out already, bro.
Yeah,
like they,
exactly.
It's nobody wants to wait forever.
Exactly.
And the quickest turnaround we ever got was Broly a month after it came out in Japan, coming out in America. And that was the best time because they did a very good cross promotion with all the countries.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know what happened, bro. I don't know what the hell happened with Toei. Like,
yeah, and like we went to that premiere.
I know, and then and we saw it in Japan. No, we saw it in dub.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it came out in Japan that very same day.
Yeah,
and then it came out everywhere else here a month later. But it was quick.
Yeah,
Daima was quicker than like Superhero.
Yeah,
and definitely quicker than Kai and Z. But it shouldn't be taking this long.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly.
It's just weird. It just takes too long. I have nothing against if people want to wait for a dub because they want to watch it with their kids, or that's fine. But I mean, as somebody who consumes this media, bro, I can't wait. It's like Cobra Kai, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's like when Avengers is coming out, bro. Like, I'm the type of dude that will go to the movie theater day one to go see it. I'm not gonna wait till so I can get spoiled. Fuck that.
Yeah, because I remember when Endgame came out, I actually waited 2 days to see it. Then one of my mutuals spoiled a big scene for me.
Oh, dude, because I think what was it? The Middle East or the Chinese got it like a day before we did, and the fucking the Thanos scene and the big fight at the end was there, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, but that's the world that we live in now with the internet.
Yeah.
It's just quick.
Oh yeah, because when it comes to Daima, I try to be off social media as much as I can, and then I watch the episode. Then I go back on social media.
And I'm so glad you do that because one of the things that I hate that this fandom has done now is they try to criminalize the leakers, even though the leakers are giving you information that you were sucking off and begging for the past 10 years. Now it's the leakers' fault. No, it's not the leaker's fault. It's your fault because here's what it is. They can't put. Go ahead, bro.
It's like your choice it's your choice to be on social media when this all happens.
When you're addicted to this, which a lot of these kids are, when you can't put this down, it's not a me problem. It's a you problem. And I'm not even saying this to pick on them. We have a real issue in the world right now with people being addicted to this shit. This is
for
brother.
Sure.
I don't know about you, but one of the scariest things I've ever seen is I walk out of my bedroom. This is when I was with one of my exes, and it's
Right.
her aunt, two of her cousins, and her mom in the living room on the couch like this.
Oh my God.
I'll never, bro. It was like something out of a movie. I thought I was Jack Nicholson. I step out of the room and I see them all like, and I go, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I go back in the room, bro, because they were like, and a lot of these kids are addicted to social media. Well, Danny, you shouldn't have to force somebody to not be on social media. I'm not.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
their call.
man.
And that's why I tweeted out recently. I said, if you're waiting to binge Daima when it's over, you're going to get spoiled because there are big transformations coming.
Yeah.
And I already know what's coming, and I'm not leaking the big transformation coming up in February. But when it drops, there will be fan art everywhere. And that's not a bad thing. This always happens with Dragon Ball. So if you're trying to like wait to binge it, but you're worried about getting spoiled, you're going to get spoiled.
Yeah, because like when the Daima leaks were happening, I didn't pay attention to them. Like I did not know Glorio's name until I watched the first episode.
That's good because that came out like in June.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like you. When I was getting caught up on Cobra Kai, the only thing I got spoiled on was Terry Silver because that was kind of a big deal. But I didn't know anything because I was disciplined enough to not look it up. Same thing with Sopranos. But when you're addicted to this,
I know, right?
Put the shit down. And it's the social media, bro. Like a lot of these people only have friends on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's a very unhealthy thing. I have a lot of internet friends too, but like you have to take some personal responsibility and some discipline. That's the way I see it.
Well, as they say, go outside and touch some grass.
For sure. And it's not even this is not one of those we're making fun of them. I am not. I'm actually deeply concerned because social media addiction and TikTok, bro, like it's a thing. And it's not just the Gen Z thing. I got a buddy of mine who's like 44 years old and he's fucking on TikTok all day, bro. All day on TikTok. And it's like, dude, you gotta unplug.
Yeah, like I think you and I were like the last like generation who was raised before phones. So
we were, but he's older than you and I, and he's 44, 45, and you're 44, right?
I just turned 43.
43. Okay, I was off by a year, so I'm not. I didn't mean to age you.
That's all right.
But he's 44, so he's 44. Older than you, even, and he's addicted to TikTok. It's not just a Gen Z thing. It's like TikTok is addicting, and it's like sometimes you just gotta like take a break.
It's like best just to put the phone down,
especially when it comes to like political like rabbit holes. Like,
oh my god,
like a friend of mine, and I'm not gonna say his name. He's into the flat Earth shit, and he's always sending me TikToks on flat Earth, and there ain't no flat Earth, bro. And I just, you know what I mean? Like and it's just like, dude, you got to unplug. No, you don't understand. You don't understand. And I'm like, dude, you have to put this down.
Put the phone down.
Put the phone down. Honestly, I think it's better if you're going to be on a device, just load up a fucking game, not a mobile game. Load up a real video game.
Exactly.
Like the ones that we talked about on this show, a real Dragon Ball game, not or Call of Duty or Dragon Quest or whatever.
Yeah.
And just play that. Don't be fucking playing Dokkan. Bro, the Dokkan addicts too, bro.
Oh, God, Dokkan.
Like, dude, people be blowing money on this shit. Like, dude, like.
Yeah, I know someone who's blown whole paychecks on Dokkan stuff.
There's a YouTuber who I used to respect. I don't anymore. Who blows 5 figures on Dokkan a year, and it's like 5
figures.
It's like, dude, like what a waste of money. Like,
I mean, I've only played Dokkan maybe 2 times in my life. I mean, it's fun, but it's not something I'll play all the time.
I played it for like a few months, but it's to me, it's not really a video game. Like it's more like a gambling simulator. It's more like
that's what I heard.
a collectible card game. Yeah, that's the way I see it. And there's nothing wrong with that if you have self-control.
Yeah.
But it's very addicting. That's the thing. And so I just tell people, I sometimes will be on Twitch and I'll joke with people, hey, Geekdom, do you play Dokkan? I'm like, nah, I spend my money on real video games like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy, shit that actually has an ending. Like, if I buy Batman...
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
There you go. That's a real game.
Yeah,
if I buy Batman Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, I can actually play that game, finish it, move on to the next game. With something like Dokkan, there's a new Vegito unit, and he's good for about 2 weeks. There's a new Gogeta unit.
Wow,
he's good for about a month. There's a new Super Saiyan 3 AGL. And so they keep making it's the Malibu Stacy thing where they keep dropping new, like, people get hyped up over the new units, and then another one, they keep you addicted. It's like crack. You know what I mean? Like, they do that shit, right? Every month.
So it's basically Jiren with hat.
Yes. It's with hat. Bro, and like, I look at it and I'm like, do you not understand that they're doing this to keep you addicted? Like, that's the whole joke, So it's best to just have some control. I'm not saying not to play Dokkan. I'm just saying have control when you do it. Don't be blowing paychecks on this shit.
Actually, just buy this instead.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, that's an expensive game too. I will say that game was a little pricey. But if you don't want to buy that game, I mean, just look up some of the games we talked about today. We're about to close out the stream.
Okay.
ROMs are out there. There are ROM hacks for a lot of them. Is there any game you wanted to discuss prior to Budokai 1 you feel like we didn't get to? Anything like any hidden gems that you wanted to drop before we get out of here?
I think we covered most of them, and I would say definitely the biggest gem in the classic eras would probably be Hyperdimension and also Dragon Ball Z Legends, which we both covered.
What about the Gokuden 2?
Oh yeah, Gokuden 2 is also it's also a hidden gem, and also that's fully translated too, so definitely check that one out.
Yeah, that I think romhacking.org has a lot of those patches. Yeah, and they're out there. There's some games like we mentioned. There's some Game Boy games, OG Game Boy, not like Advance or DS. There's a few out there. I've never played any of those, but they do seem a bit obsolete.
Right,
if we're being honest, and I hate to say this, but it's just the truth. There's a lot of Dragon Ball games that are probably not worth people checking out. Like, if you're curious about it, get Ryan's book or check out the ROMs if you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're probably not going to enjoy them as much as you did Budokai and Tenkaichi. You're just, and it's not because the games are older, because there's old, like Mario Brothers 3 is an 80s game that kicks most games nowadays' ass still.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's that the games, I don't think they really figured out how to make a Dragon Ball Z game until the 2000s. Like, that's when they really were able to figure it out, with the exception of Hyperdimension, Legends, etc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, I think, let me see. I have it here with me right now. I think really the first time that they were able to make a Dragon Ball Z game in its own genre, like, it's not exactly a fighting game, it's not exactly an RPG, would be the Sparking series, which we got here as the Budokai Tenkaichi series.
It was like a simulator. It was like a 3D version of Legends.
Yeah, and I would say this one is where Dragon Ball Z games had their own identity at last.
Yes, and then since then we've gotten Burst Limit and Raging Blast and what's the other one? The Xenoverse series, but that's modern shit. That's a different topic altogether. We're gonna close out, bro. Go ahead and plug everything. I do have in the description links to Ryan's game, as well as I think I have the book linked down there.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, so if you want to grab this book, I'm sure Danny has the link down below.
I should. I hope I remember to put it there.
Yeah, now,
if not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so sadly, because of Shueisha, you're not. I'm I can't sell the physical book anymore, so you will have to get the free PDF. But it's every bit as good.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's free. So yeah,
Yeah.
and also, if you have a Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 or 5, or the Xbox, actually check out my game Popcorn Rocket if you love old school space shooters.
Okay, hold on. I've got the Popcorn Rocket link, but I don't have the link to the books. Did you send that to me? Because I want to update the description.
Yeah, it should be in your Discord. In your Discord messages, yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, that last.
Oh God, I literally just saw all the stuff that you had there.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind bringing you back on to talk about the Pladia.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because that's an experience, bro. I don't know if we can do a whole show on just that game, but
right.
Very few people outside of Japan have played that game, and even in Japan, I don't know, very few played it there too.
It's not easy to emulate it either. So,
so BGP Legacy.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put Ryan's books. So I'm updating the description right now. So if you check the description, you're gonna have it'll say links. It'll have artworks, Ko-fi profile, coffee, whatever. It'll have Ryan's Popcorn Rocket game and Ryan's book. So check those out. I'm so glad you came on. I had a good time with you today.
Thank you for having me on, man. It's been a while since we've talked like this. So yeah.
Yes, I think we actually did. I think the last time we did a video, I think we did one about how Final Bout sucks. So here we are again.
Yeah, here we are again. Yeah, we said it again.
But it's funny because you say, I like how I thought I was the only one. Like, that is a game that we gaslit ourselves into liking. Like, we literally gaslit ourselves. Oh, no, this is not so bad.
Yeah, we tried.
Oh, how do I get Goku to fly?
So slow, man. I mean, how come Super Saiyan 4's Goku's tail looks like Hot Dog Link's?
Oh my God, the hot dog.
Hot dog tails.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't really get good till the PS2 era.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, y'all, next week I'm gonna have SS Jutsu on, absolutely geeked, and the week after I'm planning to have the new voice of Piccolo, Nassim, from Daima. Should be a fun time. So thank you, Ryan. Thanks everybody in the chat. We'll see you. Yep, we'll see you. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow night's video is how did future Gohan get Super Saiyan? The mystery is solved. Stay tuned.